Time for some book covers. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and today on Zocktober I have got for you horror book covers that are just my favorite. We do have a Stephen King version of this. If that came out before this, then we will link that up here. If it did not, then stay tuned for that because we have a Stephen King one separate than this one. It was very hard for me to pick, try and keep it at just 10 for both categories, and so I just said I'm just going to do 10 of one and 10 of the other and just do two separate videos. So what I have in this one is my top 10 favorite horror book covers. They're just covers I like. Doesn't mean I like the book or have read the book. They're just a cover that looks cool to me and that I feel like I should put on the list. Make sure you let me know some of your favorite horror covers in the comments down below, as well as like, comment, and subscribe. So let's get started with some book covers here. I do vaguely have this in a like 1 through 10 order. My top, I'd say between 3 to 4 are pretty much set in stone, but the other ones, not like a solid order of them, but I do have them in like a 10 through 1 order. So, starting at number 10, we have got The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. So, we found this edition at Half Price Books, and I think it looks really stunning. Obviously, you've got like the weird bodies forming like a head, and they're like latching itself onto the one body in the center. It just looks really creepy and eerie. I think it looks really cool. I have read this, and I'm pretty sure I give it like 4 stars or something like that, 4.5. But again, this cover just looks really, really cool. Alright, the next one is a book that I have not read. It is one that we have had previously, and I wanted to read it, but it just never came to be. And that is A Cosmology of Monsters by Sean Hamill. So, again, like I said, I have not read this, but the cover to me just looks really cool. You have the human hand and the monster hand just kind of pretty much touching each other, kind of like the Hulk and Black Widow from like Avengers: Age of Ultron. For like calming him down, they like touch hands and it like calms him down somehow. That's like kind of what I thought of when I saw this, but it looks really cool, like the blue outlining with like the yellowish veins, or like whatever they are, kind of wrapping around the border, and then the spine, like the cosmology part, you can kind of see like the two like monster eyes in like the O sections, and I think it looks really cool. Again, it's a book I have not read, but I intend to at some point in the future. So there you have A Cosmology of Monsters by Sean Hamill. Next up is The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. So we picked this up at a Barnes & Noble, I think it was. And what we actually did is we got this, and then we got another one by him. I don't remember the title, but it's the guy there was like really recommending it because it was kind of like a pandemic-ish type book. I don't remember what it was called though. But this cover looks really cool to me. You kind of have like the house, and then you have like a faded human in front of it, and then like above it you see like an upside down faded house, and so it kind of seems like there's some like ghost action going on or something like that with this book. I also like how like the outline is all just like pure white, and then it kind of looks like a photo in the book, and it just looks cool. It's a little bit thicker of a book, and I think even the spine itself looks pretty cool. So, but again, book I have not read, but I really would like to. So there you have The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. The next two I've got are old vignettes of some classic horror books, and the first one I'm going to show you is Swan Song by Robert R. McMahon. So this just looks really cool. It's like a classic looking cover, an old pocket edition, and it just looks really cool. You kind of have like the demon looking over like what appears to be like a desert looking area or type setting. I have not read this book. I want to, but it is rather long. I actually don't know a whole lot about this. I think it's like the end of the world happens and then like it's following like a little girl or something like that. I don't remember. But it is a book I would like to get to at some point. But I like the cover. The spine just looks really cool. And it just looks like a really cool edition. And I'm glad I picked this one up. So there you have Swan Song by Robert R. McMahon. Kind of following suit with Swan Song in terms of like an older looking edition, we found this edition of Ghost Story at Half Price Books. And I think it looks really cool. I started reading this book and I just kind of I couldn't get into it at first. I know another person had commented saying that that's kind of how it starts out, but it does get a lot better. It could be like Confessions, where I just gotta push through it and just read it. Obviously, I've got other things going on right now to where I'm not going to be having a whole lot of time to read this in the nearest future. But it is a book I do want to get back into later on. But the cover looks really cool. You've got like the haunted house in the distance on like a hill, and like the writing of Ghost Story, like how like nice and like cursive-y it looks. It looks really kind of looks like it'd be something you'd see in like a ghost type movie or genre or something like that. It just looks really cool, and I'm glad that we picked up this edition. And yeah, there you have Ghost Story by Peter Straub. The next one is a collection of short stories in one giant novel, and that is Goblin by Josh Malerman. So, obviously, you've got a head, like, this, to me, this kind of gives off, like, Stephen King vibes. You have, like, the little girl in the dress, which, obviously, it's not Stephen King's version of The Shining, but it's Stanley Kubrick's. Like, the Grady twins are wearing a dress that looks like that. Obviously, you've got, like, the hedge maze, and then the house. Like, if you have the Cemetery Dance edition of Salem's Lot, you can't tell me that that house does not look like the Salem's Lot house. Like, it purely looks like it. So, I get Stephen King vibes from this cover, and I absolutely am all for it, and I absolutely love it. So this is... I just absolutely love this cover. It looks really cool because of all like the Stephen King references you kind of get from it. So there you have Goblin by Josh Malerman. All right, the next one up is The Haunting of Lee Harper by Darcy Coates. So this is a new Darcy Coates that came out last month, and I think this cover just looks absolutely beautiful. This is the first Haunting of Somebody by Darcy Coates. I know there's like The Haunting of Ashburn House, The Haunting of Rookwood House. Like, there's a bunch of, like, hauntings of, like, houses by her. And this is the first one where it says The Haunting of a Person's Name, Lee Harper. This is a very cool-looking cover. You kind of have, like, the ghost, like, face, like, kind of in pretty much front and center. And above it, you got, like, a lady walking and a dimly lit house in the background. I think it looks really cool. You got, like, the woods. There's all sorts of things going on in this, and I think it looks really cool. And in typical Darcy Coates fashion, the spine follows suit with all the rest of her books, and it just looks really cool. So there you have The Haunting of Lee Harper by Darcy Coates. All right, next up is Nosferatu by Joe Hill. This paperback edition specifically. I mean, you kind of get all the Christmas themes going on at the same time. It looks really cool. You've got like the broken gingerbread man who's got a frowny face on his face, and you've got all like the Christmas stuff going on. You've got little pines coming in from like a pine tree, a Christmas tree, and it just looks really cool. And there's all the blood spots. It's just a really cool looking cover. I do actually have this license plate sitting in my office, and I think it's a really cool license plate, obviously Nosferatu. And it's a very cool looking cover, and the book itself is really good too. I gave it 5 stars. So in third place, based off of my top 3 here, you've got Nosferatu by Joe Hill. All right, top two here, it was kind of a hard decision to put them in the place that they're in, but ultimately at the end of the day, I think these make sense. In second place, I have the paperback edition of My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This book was phenomenal. I gave it 5 stars, and this cover is just absolutely stunning. I think it looks cool. You kind of get like an old VHS type vibe with it, obviously because it says VHS in the bottom over here. You get like 80s vibes off of this cover. It just looks really cool. The spine itself also looks pretty cool. Even the back looks really cool. It's just a really great cover, and I absolutely love the story, and it's just a good all-around book. So there you have My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. Alright, in first place is this hardcover edition that Danielle found for me of Dracula. Bram Stoker's Dracula, to be specific. I mean, what's not to like about this cover? It's yellow, you've got a red-looking Dracula, you've got yellow blood on his lips, even like the spine looks cool. The back is, well, the back of his head. It's just a really cool looking cover. There's not much else I can really say about it. It seems so, it's like so basic of a cover, but it's like so good of a cover. It's just a very nice book. I have not read this yet. I want to at some point. I'm just kind of waiting for the right time to do it. So, in first place with my all-time favorite horror book covers, this edition of Dracula by Bram Stoker. Alright guys, so these are some of my favorite covers from horror books. They all look absolutely stunning. They're all beautiful. I have there's other books that I like the covers of, but these are just my all-time favorite. So, that's why they're on this list. What are some horror covers that you guys really enjoy? Make sure you let me know in the comments down below. And also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next Zocktober tomorrow. Later.